Is it safe to say that Texas is finally back? The Longhorns got over the hump last year, finally lived up to the hype, finally backed up the talk by going 12-2, winning the Big 12, and made the college football playoff where they were so close to beating Washington and making the national championship. But now, the Longhorns are riding tons of momentum into this year, their first year in the SEC, and they come in at number 4 and are way too early, top 25. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today to break down the Texas Longhorns. Take a look at their schedule and what they're up against in their first year in the Southeastern Conference. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com. We have tons of exclusive content over there to help you get through this offseason. You do not want to miss out on that, and you do not want to miss out on what we have coming up here at the channel with prediction season right around the corner. So yes, we will be predicting every single college football team's record, game by game, here in just a few months. So like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and become a member of our GE Nation. So Texas, guys, Steve Sarkisian finally got them over the hump. They had a fantastic 2023 season. Again, they were a few plays away from beating Washington and nearly setting up a national championship rematch in Week 2 when they traveled to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan. That's how we'll begin this schedule preview. If you look at it, this is not a bad schedule for Texas. First year and arguably the toughest conference in all of college football, although the Big Ten is going to give the SEC a run for their money. They avoid Alabama. They avoid LSU. They avoid Tennessee. They avoid Ole Miss. And you look at that and you go, wow, how did they get so lucky? How did they manage to get such a lucky break? But that Michigan game is going to be very telling. That Michigan game is going to be massive in kind of determining the direction of Texas football in 2024. Are they able to beat the defending national champions now with a new head coach and tons of new pieces on both sides of the ball? If they do, I think many would believe that Texas can start 5-0. Colorado State, UTSA, ULM, and a home game against Mississippi State, which will be their first SEC game. I would expect Texas to be heavily favored in all of those. And the fact that all of those are in Austin is pretty massive in and of itself. So that Michigan game isn't going to determine the entire course of the season. If you lose, the season's not over. If you win, doesn't mean you're national champions. But a win almost guarantees a 5-0 start, although we're not here to predict any games yet. So that Michigan game is going to be very, very intriguing. Texas, you would say, on paper, with the talent they have coming back, such as Quinn Ewers and that offensive line and a defense that should be pretty solid, on paper, you would say, hey, they've got the better team here. But you got the power of the big house, one of the most difficult places to play in the entire country. That's going to be on Michigan's side. That's going to be one of the most anticipated matchups for the early part of the season. Coming out of that bye week, they're either going to more than likely be 4-1 or 5-0, one of those two, and that's where they kind of enter the gauntlet. And really that gauntlet is only 2 games. They come out of the bye week and they play Oklahoma in the Red River Showdown in Dallas, and then they host Georgia, which is a massive, massive game. October 19th, going to be huge. So that's the thing here, right? They lost to Oklahoma 34-30 last year. That was a heartbreaking loss, but also one of the best games of the entire year. Oklahoma has a lot of potential, right? Their first year in the SEC. They've got a new quarterback, Jackson Arnold. They've got a lot of key pieces they've got to replace, but they expect to contend for an SEC title, maybe a playoff spot. Remember, it's expanded to 12 teams in 2024. So that Red River rivalry, always a great game, always fun to watch. Texas is going to have revenge on their mind. And this is not this really isn't a case where they can even overlook Oklahoma. They've got the bye week to prep for them. You're not going to overlook your big rival. And I don't think you're going to overlook Oklahoma in preparation for Georgia. But the Oklahoma game comes at an interesting time because if they lose to Oklahoma, will Texas be hung over for that home game against Georgia, especially if Oklahoma is the Longhorns' second loss? If Texas were to lose to Michigan and then lose to the Sooners, they have 2 losses, and they have no more room for error. If they want to make that 12-team playoff, they would have to win out, and that would include beating Georgia on the 19th. So the mental factor comes into play here, but also the capability of realizing that their playoff hopes could be over by the end of October 12th if things don't go the Longhorns' way. We're not saying that's what's going to happen, all right? We're not saying that right now. But we're saying that is a possibility because Michigan's not going to be easy. Oklahoma's not going to be easy. And Georgia certainly isn't going to be easy. So same thing. Maybe you beat Oklahoma, but if you lose to Michigan, you lose to Georgia, you now have to win out the rest of the way. So those back-to-back games against Oklahoma and the Bulldogs are going to be absolutely massive in determining the rest of the season for Texas. After it, though, once they survive that, it's pretty favorable. You got Vanderbilt, no big deal there. You get the bye week, you get to host A Florida team that's going to be banged up this year. The Gators play 11 Power 5 opponents this season. They only have one cupcake team on their schedule. This is a Florida team that might have the talent but might not have the record come November 9th, and you can't help but wonder what Billy Napier's squad is going to look like physically, mentally, and whether Napier may even be on the sideline still on November 9th, depending on the direction of Florida's season. So the bye week to prep for that, and then 2 of their final 3 games are on the road at Arkansas and at Texas A&M. Renewing that rivalry against the Aggies is something that I think all of us as college football fans are very, very excited to see. The game is going to be played in College Station, which is going to be an electric atmosphere. Those are games where Texas can't afford to overlook them either. Arkansas probably isn't going to be much of anything this year, but still in Fayetteville, last time Texas went there, they got annihilated, got crushed by the Razorbacks. They rushed for over 300 yards on the Longhorns that day. Obviously, Arkansas going to get up for their big-time rival. And then A&M certainly going to be doing the same with their first-year head coach and Mike Elko. So those 2 road games are definitely kind of trap games, but not going to be, in my opinion, nearly as difficult as the games against Michigan, Oklahoma, and Georgia. And that's the thing, right? If you look, I would say their 4 toughest games are Michigan, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Texas A&M. And that's the only one thing that kind of goes against the Longhorns in this scenario is those 4 toughest games, only one of them is a true home game. Michigan and A&M are both on the road. Oklahoma's at a neutral site in Dallas. And then Georgia is a true home game in Austin. So their 4 toughest games, only one of them is truly going to be in their home stadium. That's the one thing the Longhorns have going against them. But honestly, I think if I was Texas, I'd take that. Always have a good crowd in Dallas. Your biggest test out of all those, Georgia, is coming to your house. Going to probably be the national title favorite, is coming to your house. And you got Michigan and A&M, one at the beginning of the season, one at the end of the season. You avoid Alabama, you avoid LSU, Tennessee, you avoid Ole Miss, you avoid all those 4 teams. So yeah, I would take the schedule that I got if I get to avoid all those other top dogs. So overall, guys, this is a really, really good schedule for Texas. They are, in our eyes, the number 4 team. We have them ranked number 4 in the country to start the year. They're there for a reason. They've got a great coach. They've got a great roster. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And they've got a schedule that, for their first year in the SEC, really ain't that bad. It really isn't that bad. Some tough games, sure, but no major key stretch, no key 3-4 game stretch there. A couple big games scattered throughout the schedule. And I do believe, after what I saw last year and what we know of Texas this year, that this team can handle it. And with a 12-team playoff, there's a little bit more wiggle room. They don't have to win the SEC to get in there. They can afford a loss. They might be able to even afford 2 losses. This is a team that, for me, I think I would be shocked to not see them back in the 12-team playoff. But you'll have to wait and find out if we do believe that will be the case with our official Texas prediction, which will be here before you know it. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com. Tons of exclusive content over there to help you get through this offseason. Do not miss out on that. We want you to become a member of our GE Nation. We want you to take in all the content we're going to be pushing your way from now all the way through the season. Do not miss out on it. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.